to me, a carer peer worker is someone who has been through a similar experience. So, for example, someone who also is caring for someone, has a loved one with borderline personality disorder. That's the area I work in. And so they know what it's like to walk the walk 24/7 and know and can relate to the things that you say and relate to your experiences. For me, personally, my role as a carer peer worker is certainly to make sure that people have hope. Because I think one of the things that we face caring for someone, you know, with those complex mental illnesses like BPD, is that we often can lose hope. We go and we try and get mental health services to help us. There's no help there, so we lose a bit of hope. We talk maybe to friends and family, and they just have this surprised, shocked look on their face. And of course, we don't want to, you know, overwhelm them or scare them, but we're talking about our experiences. And for a lot of people who haven't experienced something similar, we'll be shocked by some of it, I guess. And so for me, the most important thing is to give people hope. I think the other thing too is to make sure that people have factual information. I've worked with people that have come to our support group and have said, you know, I was told that my son would never work, he would probably never leave home, it'd be this chaotic behaviour all the time, and there was just no chance of anything ever changing and him getting well. And I always remember to say to those people, if you come across health professionals like that, you thank them for their advice, you walk out that door and you don't go back again. Because as we know, there is hope and there is recovery. People need to get the right access, the right support for them to get well. Otherwise, it can be impossible. So I think it's also too an important role as a carer peer is to validate people's experiences. Just to validate their experience that caring for someone with borderline personality disorder is really, really difficult. And to really validate that and acknowledge that. And I also too, because of in trying to give them hope, I try to give them a balance too about the reality of things. So there's hope and things get better, but it can take time. It's not a quick fix thing. But of course, you know, you don't have to wait for 12 months or something, just it's little steps of success along the way. And also to just making them feel like letting them know actually that they are not alone, that other people have similar experiences to them as well. For me, the challenges have been learning how to balance my home life and the peer work I do. It's making sure that it's essential that I self-care, because it really is true that, you know, if you don't self-care, then you will burn out and then you won't be there for anyone. I think some of the other challenges I've had is working particularly with mental health professionals who there are still some that don't give any level of respect or credence to carers, and who still come from that attitude of, well, we're the professionals, we know what to do. I think it helps too to do there's some different, get a bit of accreditation behind yourself as well. I think that can be important too. It's also, for me, peer work is kind of, it is really, you know, synthesizing that lived experience with clinical. So you do have to have some knowledge. You do have to be clear on what you can offer people so that there aren't any false expectations. And just start and learn and open yourself up to learning new things. And, you know, for me, it's been a real learning discovery in that, you know, there's commonalities between people with BPD and their loved ones, and there's also differences. I think one of the real heartbreaking things with BPD is that, you know, it impacts on our relationships, especially those closest to us. So it's keeping in mind that often you may have a client, a patient presenting in crisis. They're not from an isolated island. They have friends, they have family around there. And I think it's important to check who their support system is, who their carers are. And I think too, what I would say is that clinicians should know services to refer carers to. I think clinicians need to respect the role of carers. Okay, we're the ones who you discharge that person to, and whether or not they're ready. And I think it's important remembering too that the relationship with carers and the person they care for is one that is based on love. And that's really important. So for you, you may have a client doing XYZ behavior. For their carer, that's a person they love doing XYZ. So I think you need to see things holistically, and definitely, you know, often you can't provide support to carers, but you need to be referring to where they are. I have forever been suggesting, you know, that in discharge, having discharge packs for information on where the family, the carers can get support as well. When, you know, someone has been coming to our support group, maybe come to one of my workshops, and they ring me up excited, or they send me an email just saying, hey, Nat, guess what? You know, this happened. My loved one did this problem behavior and I responded differently this way, and this is what happened, and thank you. I said this before. If you feel like it's hopeless, if there is no hope, get yourself some professional help, because there always is, no matter how bad it gets. I think try and find your, often it's said, you know, in our groups, the DBT ones and the loved one support group, people say, you know, I found my tribe. Try and find your tribe. There's different ways. I first got into, when my husband was first diagnosed, I first got into the idea of peer support through Facebook groups, who were, you know, loving someone with borderline personality disorder. Came up and I joined it. And I have met some of the most amazing people and most supportive people from there. So I think reach out to wherever you can to find support. Everyday partners, mums, dads that I meet, that actually, you know, that do learn some skills that change their behaviors as well, and the outcomes that they then have with their better relationships, and being able to manage even if the person they care for isn't ready themselves yet. Okay. I think they inspire me to do what I do even better. And for me, the lovely thing is when you meet those clinicians, especially that specialize in BPD, they are some of the most compassionate, empathetic people that I know. And, you know, they help us in such ways, and they really help influence from within the system to get better outcomes for those that we care about and ourselves. And so what I find inspiring too is some of those clinicians that may have had no real previous link to personality disorders, to BPD, through their own lived experience, but end up working in that area, people like that inspire me too, because what do they see about this community that makes them do what they do?